Well, hello there guys, it's me Kit Boardman again. I hope you're doing well. I'm so glad to see you for joining me on this brilliant video for story time together as we learn and listen. As you know, a reading experience can bring a lot of attention to the readers and viewers, as some of you know. But I have been working so hard by producing some amazing, awesome videos I have ever made. So, what I'm going to do, I'm going to focus on stories about Winnie the Pooh. It was inspired by A.A Milnes. So, also, I personally do like Disney adapted version of Winnie the Pooh. That was my favourite version. I have read all the Disney versions of Winnie the Pooh before. So, therefore, I'm going to show you a book I've got. I'm going to read to you by words and also show some pages with magnificent pictures. So, this is the book called Winnie the Pooh Goes to London. It was written by Jane Riordan, illustrated by Mark Burgess. So, you have come to the right place, and please come and join me for story time with me together if you like. And you can also wear headphones when listening to a story, as highly recommended. So, please enjoy. You could tell that Christopher Robin had something important to say from the way he collapsed his knees tightly and wiggled his toes. Everybody gathered round expectantly. Her Majesty, Christopher Robin began. "Oh," squeaked Piglet in a state of great excitement. "Her Royal Highness he went on. Quite so, agreed Rabbit. "The Queen of England," he said quickly before anyone else could interrupt him. "Or the Queen," said Pooh Bear, much relieved. "The other people you mentioned sounded like much too tall and fearsome, but the Queen is quite different." "As I was saying," said Christopher Robin, passing Pooh a honey sandwich so that he might continue speaking, "Her Majesty the Queen lives in a very great city called London. I would very much like to go there, and perhaps I might have tea with her." "If you go to London," said Rabbit, importantly, "you must take the Queen a present, something she will treasure." "I've never had much luck finding treasure," sighed Pooh, "but I did once find a North Pole. Do you suppose the Queen might like that?" The friends thought this was an excellent idea, but it wasn't long before they realised that the forest seemed to be full of sticks that could or could not be a North Pole. "This will never do," announced Rabbit. Bear announced to Christopher Robin similarly. "That it's fit for the Queen. I shall write it out. You and I and Piglet and Eeyore will deliver it to Buckingham Palace." Christopher Robin also found a beautiful bright red balloon for Piglet to hold. "That way we won't lose you in the crowd," he said. Piglet held it on very tightly to the balloon. He wasn't quite sure what a crowd was, but in any case he didn't want to get lost in it and was pleased the balloon would help. So the present was ready, and side by side, Winnie the Pooh, his small companion, Piglet, Eeyore, and Christopher Robin set off for London. "Of course, London is on quite the other side," remarked Christopher Robin. As they were walking off the sea, asked Pooh, somewhat alarmed. Not the sea? I shouldn't think, replied Christopher Robin, whose geography lessons so far had been mostly spent colouring in the edgy bits. In any case, it is very far off, and we shall have to catch the train. I do hope it will want to be caught, said Pooh, who was already a little out of breath from a walk. But the train was good enough to stop for them in the station, and there was plenty of time to climb aboard and find our comfy seats, and then they were off. Would you be so kind as to stay very close by? Asked an anxious Piglet as they got off the train at the Victoria station. He hadn't expected London to have quite so many legs. Christopher Robin, Pooh, Piglet, and Eeyore launched themselves into this vast forest of legs and hoped they had come out all right. They emerged into the busy street. Christopher Robin told them that the large black vehicles rushed past. They were called traffic. Pooh thought that traffic looked like giant, shiny beetles, and thinking of them as beetles made it less worrying. The friends walked and they walked, but Eeyore's size that had started out as a small puffs. We were now growing so loud that they were worried he would run out of puffs altogether, and Winnie the Pooh's legs were known for their stoutness, and Piglet's legs were so short that they were hardly worth speaking of at all. So Christopher Robin suggested they ride on the bus. Most considerate, I'm sure, sighed Eeyore, although slightly less puffly this time. The friends had never been on a bus before, and this was a most unusual one. It had winding stairs, and up at the top there was no roof at all. As the bus began to move, the wind did its best to blow Piglet's ears right off, and very nearly lost hold of the balloon. I'll call this a blustery bus, laughed Christopher Robin. The bus took the friends past a great many important buildings, and Christopher Robin didn't know all the names. At the next stop, they were able to get out and stretch their legs a little. Look at that tree, Pooh, gasped Piglet, as they stepped off the bus, and what an extraordinary tree it was, taller than even the bee tree in 100 Acre Wood, and much less woody. In fact, it wasn't woody at all. This tree, if it really was a tree, also looked exciting and dangerous, but very beautiful, and if Pooh leaned back as far as he could go without toppling over, he could just see the point at the top disappearing into the clouds. The next stop for the bus was near the River Thames, and their friends walked along until they came to the bridge. It was quite the longest bridge they had ever been on, and they began to wonder if there really was another side when they saw a dome of St. Paul's Cathedral rise up in the front of them. Piglet and Pooh stopped for a little rest in the middle and played Pooh Sticks, but it wasn't a great success. Pooh was certain that his stick had won, and Piglet argued that they were a wrong type of sticks and sunk. In any case, the truth was that the river was so far down that they couldn't see the sticks at all, and so they had to content themselves with Rafe and the passengers on the boats beneath them, and that was a very cheering thing to do. The bus toured to continue to Trafalgar Square. Look out for the lions, said the driver. Lions? Gasped Piglet, in some alarm. And there were indeed lions, but thankfully not furry ones, with a hot breath and hungry eyes that they were imagining. These lions were cold and majestic, and their backs were shiny from where many people had sat upon them. Oh, how I'd love to have a lion, Christopher Robin sighed, but Pooh thought that bears were best and pulled Christopher Robin back to the bus. The tour took them past an enormous clock in the high up tower. Christopher Robin told them that this clock's largest bell was called Big Ben. I feel sure, said Pooh, that with this clock I could really learn to tell the time. With smaller clocks, I do try to tell it, but it just doesn't listen, and everything gets so terribly muddled. The clock, like this, though, is sure to behave itself. But just then, a sudden gust of wind pulled up the balloon up and away. It looked so wonderful flying next to the Big Ben that Piglet couldn't feel sad. In any case, he was too excited because the next stop was Buckingham Palace. Oh, Pooh, whispered Piglet as they climbed off the bus. Isn't it grand? And it certainly was. Behind the golden gates, windows rose up in every direction. Rows and rows of windows, and above it all, the royal standard flag waved proudly in the sky. The flag means that Queen is at home, announced Christopher Robin. He who knew a great deal about queens and such like, because he had came to Buckingham Palace once before many years ago. Well, it's all very well for some, complained Eel. I've never had a flag myself, but then I'm always at home. One boogie place is much like another, and I don't hold with all this packing up. Farewell, and see you soon, Palifer. At a moment, a bugle sounded. Piglet gave a startled jump and then continued jumping in time with a marching band to show that it hadn't been a startled jump at all. The Queen's guards marched past. They were splendid in their bright red uniforms and shiny buttons and tall furry hats. What do you think they keep under their hats? Pooh asked Piglet, a little out of breath after all this jumping. Perhaps a little something to nibble on. Just a smacker of something sticky, perhaps. Whose voices faded off into the happy dream. But all at once, there was a stirring in the crowd, and a murmur rose up. It's the Queen. The Queen's coming. and they saw the sight that they had always secretly hoped for, but had never dared imagine might really happen. The Queen herself was out for a stroll, and she was greeting the crowd as she went. Winnie the Pooh knew that it was now or never. Boldly he stepped forward and resisted his hum in the loudest and bravest voice he could manage in circumstances. The Queen smiled warmly at them all. "Where's Eeyore?" asked Christopher Robin anxiously, and then they saw him with his back to them, staring up in the palace. "I believe I saw the Queen at one of the windows," he said proudly. "But Eeyore," began Piglet. The Queen just, "We must be heading home now," interrupted Queen Christopher Robin, who couldn't bear to disappoint dear old Eeyore, who had missed the whole thing. Later, when the story had been retold over and over again, Winnie the Pooh was sure that the Queen had said, "How charming!" But what was certain was that the hum had been shared and the Queen had gone. "Do you think the Queen likes my hum, Christopher Robin?" asked Pooh as they walked down the mole. "Silly old bear, I'm sure of it," he replied, squeezing his paw a little tighter. "London is a very fine place," announced Pooh, but he was very tired and happy to be on his way back home. A little smackerel of something was sure to be waiting for them. Well, this is the end. So, I hope you quite enjoyed the story about when Christopher Robin and his friends from 100 Acre Wood went to visit in London with Winnie the Pooh when he met the Queen of England. So, I hope you enjoyed the story of I hope you liked Joy's video. So, if you like, please write your comments down below. Just let me know if you want to see the next video want to see next. So, like, comment, share, subscribe. It's always appreciated. Okay, guys. So, thank you for joining me on this brand new video for story time together, and I hope you see you soon.